Yeah. No, you're coming in great. It's running Viking power right now, so hopefully you hear me well. Test, W2BTK.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you what, if you could do like another 6 dB or so, that would be just great. I think that would put you out in the clear. Right now, I heard you say exciter power. I've got a ridiculous amount of noise from I think it's solar panel chargers or something like that. Usually goes away. Even if, I don't know, when the D-layer goes away, it overcomes all that, but it's made this not a very good daytime band for me, let's put it that way.
Yeah, all right. You got to give me about 7 minutes.
Yeah. No problem, OM. Right now, you're okay. You're in the clear.
All right. Well, yeah, this will have to do for a little while here until everything comes online. But you'll be able to sit back in your chair in a minute.
Yeah, man. Well, I got my 4400 loaded up to 305 milliamperes, just like the Johnson manual says.
Yeah, I don't know what I got going on. All my metering is in another room. I just leave it the hell alone. Last time I checked, which was yesterday, it was all pretty good. And I even installed a switch in my rack in the transmitter room so I can key all this crap up from there and tune stuff, which I wasn't able to do until, well, yesterday. Oh man, I even have a forward power meter. So I can see that, well, I turned the Viking up and I'm doing about 80 or 90 watts carrier right now, so.
Yeah, that keeps you up out of the racket for the most part. It's not perfect, but it's okay. Yeah, I was going to break out a crystal for this QSO. So I had one downstairs I had put aside a few years ago, and it says 3884 on it, but it works on it. It's almost 3886 where it works in this transmitter. So I might be able to use that one. But it's not a simple thing to do. So I switch back over to the VFO. And the transmitter's been on for an hour and a half, so it should be pretty stable.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that crystal that you gave me, the 3885 crystal, that's almost dead nuts on 3886. I could switch to that. If you want to talk there, I mean, there is nobody out here, so wherever the heck you want to do it. But I'm on the VFO right now as well, and it's been on for about an hour, so I should stay put right about here, if that works.
Yeah, that's funny that your crystal is in the same place. Yeah, we'll leave it at this and see if it annoys me or not. Something about drifting a little bit, you know?
Yeah. No, it's cool. Like all the cool kids got a little bit of drift. In 2020, the age of, ICOM 7300s and SDRs and things, if you got a little bit of drift, it's actually cool.
That's the way I felt about it at the end of the 10-meter cycle this last time around. Let me just check something here. 555, 555, 5555. And my limiter. Hello. Trying to get the limiter so that I can't hit my clip light. I didn't change anything. It's really weird. This QSC amp, I guess that's not that weird. You really don't have to change the gain very much when I change power levels, because I guess the load impedance drops that it's seeing, and it just makes power into that load impedance without changing the gain. It'd be a good question for somebody who makes these things. Anyway, yeah, I hate turning this transmitter on ahead of time because you're sitting there just, running, I guess it's a couple of 100 watts for nothing, just making it in the heat this time of year. That's not too cool, but that's the way it goes.
Well, I just switched my monitoring setup. I'm listening to you through the Waller and my good speakers, so it's kind of mixing, and I can hit this little button up here to AB between the two. So I'm going to listen to you on both for a little while, and then the good speakers, and then the Waller, which has good speakers in it anyway, but they're tiny. So I got big speakers, tiny speakers, and I can listen to one or the other or both. It's kind of nice. How's the hum situation? I'm definitely seeing some on the D mod, but as far as transmit, it looks like it's pretty clean.
Yeah, I can certainly not detect any problem with your transmit audio at all. So, yeah, you're golden. Yeah, it's nice. You got two different sets of speakers to switch between. That's always good to have.
Yeah, and the big ones have some serious low-end response. There's two 12-inch subs, crossing them over at about 80 hertz, I think, which is a little high, but it sounds good for most of the program material I listen to. So if you throw like a goofy ribbon mic or something in there, you could shake my house if you want to.
Well, what I ought to do is run another mic cord and put the ribbon mic on the boom and mix it in a little bit, like a sub mic. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I would actually be able to hear it. Man, I started the live stream. I always forget to update this stream information, so it had whatever was up there from last night, bad lightning crashes, 3875. I just updated it to afternoon QSOL with W2BTK and W2VW.
Yeah, I'm trying to beat the weather system, man. So far, static crashes aren't down enough that the local neighborhood noise is worse. I would check the loop antenna out, but it's still tuned for 160. That would be the way to listen to you, I think.
Well, I haven't been paying attention and listening for relays clicking and things, but I'm pretty sure that if I walk into the room over there, some yellow lights will be lit up on that thing, and I'll be able to push some buttons. But if I do that and I don't change anything else, my signal is going to get stupid. So I might wander in there and turn the variac down a bit on this Viking and then do that, but I'm gonna have to compensate for that with the modulator, because what happens when I reduce power with that variac on the primary of the plate supply and the exciter. I have to reduce the amount of audio that I'm putting on the carrier, or else I'll be 100 kilohertz wide.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, you should be about there by now. All right, well, do what you have to do. I'll be here. W2, very weak.
Okay, that's... Oof. I'm just going to set the exciter up before I hit that button. Hello. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. That should be good. All right, give me a sec. All right, Dave. Wow, I'm getting pretty good at that. It's about 350 watts carrier. We should be a nice, solid, legal limit AM at this point. How's that?
Yeah, thank you. That really does make a big difference over here. It takes you from occasionally missing a word to armchair copy, which of course I am in my armchair.
Well, oh, you know what? I didn't turn on the blower. Let me go do that. Right back. The door's open and I can hear the clunks, and I was like, wow, that sounds cool, but not so good. All right, there we go. All is well. Man, the waveform's nice and clean today, too. The IF on the D-mod looks like crap, but as far as the transmitted waveform and scope pattern and all that stuff, it's very clean today. Ha ha. When I really talk into this thing, I'm getting, I think, exactly... Whoop. No, you know what? I just went over 0 volts. Let me bring that down by 1 dB. Ha, ha. There we go. That is almost exactly a 100% negative modulation.
Yeah, how are you measuring that?
With the Tektronix 465.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm really hard limiting here, like a little harder than I should be, so I hope it isn't annoying. But Mr. Symmetrix is the only damn thing that'll keep up with this other processing. It's just bizarre, Billy. And I tried a half a dozen others, including another multiband compressor, set up as a limiter. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. But anyway, this works. I don't need that limiting if I use a rice burner for an exciter, because it doesn't care. It'll just fill in a wavelet once in a while, just once in a while, and that's not a problem. But this thing here, I don't want to kick it past 0. Or not 0, because it's a tetrode. Probably, I don't know, minus 2,000 or so volts at this power level, because got to subtract the screen voltage. My efficiency isn't as good like this, but the transmitter, I think the transmitter may have been designed for this power level. I can't remember anymore. W2VW.
So you're on the, you're using the Yakimo and your amplifier today?
Nope. This is the Junction 500 loaded up to 305 mils.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not having any problems with you over here. So, man, that video you sent me, was it W6AM? Man, nobody does stuff like that anymore. He's got stories. He's done stuff, and that's a real radio amateur, man.
Yeah, he was really something. Like I told you, I had heard about him for years and years and years from one of my mentors who, for a while, lived nearby, and he knew people that lived, I believe, up there, because, one of the takeaways from that video is that he had, 125 acres at one time or something, and he sold it off. And hams gobbled it up because it was surrounded up by water on three sides and 1,200 feet above sea level. So it was like he was going to give that area away or sell it to people who were going to put up towers. In the part where, nobody's ever complained about my towers and my pole. I think that was a little tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah. No, that's it, and it's kind of sad too, because he even says at one point, like, in order to have 125 acres around there, you really got to put up an office building or something like that, or it's just not doable. But even still, 24 acres up there, it's just like, he's been there since forever, and it's just kind of been there. It's just cool. Like, nothing like that will probably ever be again, but obviously I guess that guy has passed on, but man, for what it was, that is just amazing stuff what he's got going on there, and the types of antennas, those rhombics with all the relays, and he can switch directions. I mean, you just can't do that. Nobody has that much property or the ability to do it, and then there it is. You don't see that stuff, all those H-beams with all the feed lines coming out. I mean, now you just buy a $5,000 Yaesu and a stepper antenna, and that's that. But man, I wish I could ask that guy some questions, but oh well. And that video was made a year before I was born, and he saw World War I, World War II, met the president, one of the first hams. He's seen it all, man. I would love to ask that guy some questions, but I guess I can't.
Yeah, I was even thinking of putting a post up on QRZ about, anybody know, because one of the questions that leaves me with is when you see all those feed lines coming in, right? So they're rhombics, and I suppose it's possible to, they're pretty broad band, the rhombic. I suppose it's possible that those feeders will run at their surge impedance. They look like 600 ohm feeders. So if the rhombic is indeed 600 ohms, they may have been designed to be resonant in certain areas. So all those feeders are operating at low SWR, but at 600 ohms or so, or 440 or something like that. Because, see, I don't understand the hookup. He's got, it looks to me like all those link couplers were, their function would have been to go from, an unbalanced 50 ohms up to whatever. And all those antennas had the same load impedance. That's what it looks like, but I don't know that. So I don't know if there's they're adjustable, though. You could have done that. If that were the case, I would wonder why you didn't just do it with a simple, a 3-to-1, say, 4-to-1, whatever it comes up to. A transformer, because you see that in some older shortwave broadcast installations. So that's one of the things that it left me wondering. It didn't leave me with too many questions. Things were explained pretty well in that W6AM video, which you should put the link up. Stick that link up there on your Twitch if anybody listens to this QSO. They can check that out. It's an hour and a half long, but man, you will never find anybody like that in amateur radio anymore. They're gone, all those guys. And you noticed that he was very gracious, and there were no dumb questions or any of that, or bickering or any of the crap you see online from these quote-unquote, old guys that have been there and seen it all. Nobody knows everything. Anybody that tells you they know everything has got a mental problem. W2VW, speaking of mental problems. And there were a few other things that really struck me in that, too. The car was pretty cool. It's probably like a 79 or 80 Toronado. I had a boss that had one of those a few years ago. Man, I'm talking 35 years ago now. And one of my jobs at work was to keep it alive. I had to keep that thing alive. And it was a diesel. But yeah, Don Wallace, from what it says on the internet, passed away in May of '85. And if you look at him, that was, he's got a Band-Aid on, and he also has what looks like a gash above his eyebrow. I don't know if, he probably got a. This is what happens. People get like a health thing, and he was up there. And somebody said, well, we better get you on video for posterity, and that's just what happened.
I tell you what, though, he was, like, you watch him get in and out of the car and walking around out there outside with all those rocks and stuff, and he was moving. He was, he didn't look frail. Well, I mean, he looked a little frail, but he wasn't moving like he was, which was one of the things I noticed. That was pretty impressive. But yeah, so they made that video, and about a year later, that was it. Let's see, May '85, and then I was born 3 months later. I don't know. I'm glad you showed me that video, and yeah, all the technical stuff. The guys asking the questions, I mean, they asked pretty good questions. I would have liked to see a little more of the, asking about the tuner and this and that. But you're right, it did explain everything pretty well. But for me, I mean, I'm not as used to looking at all that kind of stuff, so I still was kind of like, but all the matching and harmonic filtering that he's got above his transmitters there, it made pretty good sense. And I guess he was using all those link-coupled, I guess they're matches or the double duty, filters, match, whatever. All just free air out there above the thing. I love that. You don't see anybody doing that stuff. I mean, you don't see too many people building their own station from scratch either. Not to say that going out and buying a $5,000 Yaesu and a Palstar tuner and a Stepper Yagi is bad. You get out there and contest away, but yeah, just what he had there, and it was all homebrew. It was amazing. I'd never really seen anything like that before in a ham shack. But yeah, the technical explanations were good. It's just you kind of really got to be paying attention and have a little bit of an idea of what's already there. It wasn't super in depth, and that might have been a waste of time to go into any more detail than he did. That's not really what the video was about, but it's still, I mean, I'm going to go back and watch those parts a couple of times. I just watched the video through in its entirety once, and I did throw the link up in my chat, so For the one person that's watching the stream, they can click directly on it, but I apologize. Anybody who would be watching this on YouTube later, you're going to have to manually type that video ID in, unless I put it in the description, which I actually probably will. So, man, it's good stuff. W2BTK.
Roger. Yeah, not missing a word here. You're doing okay. Yeah, it shows you, though, back then, he was talking about the earthquake, I think in 1936, and it says that they deployed 500 military policemen to keep the rioters away. Gee, don't we have something similar? People arguing about using military right now? It's, there was so many things that lit up the light bulb watching that.
Yeah, it's just a different mindset then, I guess. Everybody wants to complain now, I guess. They don't look at why, It's just, military, that's a bad word, This, that, no, we gotta, I you know what, I don't know what people think, but yeah. It's kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I see more and more people who keep score a lot, and that's a dumb people thing. Dumb people do that. They keep score, so they're always trying to rack up points, and the spin that you see in the quote-unquote news is ridiculous. It really is. It's not news. It's opinion. You can't find news. You got to develop a BS filter just to watch the news or read the news. I don't really want to go down this rabbit hole, though, because it attracts the wrong kind of attention.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that you see good attention to anything these days. If you turn on the news and this and that, it's all just... There's too many agendas and too much stuff going on, and nobody's... Just the style of reporting things and this and that, it's all like... Oh, like... Here, look, this is bad. Oh, the next day, oh, look, this is worse. The next day, oh, this is worse. The next day, until we get to where we are now. It's like, it's people trying to accomplish stuff, and like you said, keeping score and this and that, and we can use this to our advantage. Let's make this look bad, or try to demonize this or that, and it's just, where's all the good in the world?
Yeah, there's a lot of energy being wasted on negativism, and nobody gets behind anybody else to help out and stand with them, and realize nobody's perfect. People make mistakes. Some people make lots of mistakes, but especially now with what's going on, people need to be brothers and sisters here. Anyhow, back to W6AM. And it shows how, that video also shows just how important amateur radio was for emergency communications, where, the commercial wireless stations got pummeled and were out of service, or they didn't work because they were in the city and there was too much crap, and they had to use him, and the local police department, I guess, their tower, their communications tower, his ham station was a backup, the official backup for that. Yeah. Here's another one. So he said that GE had reached out to him to help figure out where they were going to put broadcast stations. And, if you listen to NBC, the NBC chimes, that's GEC, General Electric Corporation. I learned that from Nick, KG2IR. He was a true gentleman. Anyway, so people, ask him what would be the best place and listen, and we're going to run some tests and all this. He came up with 400 meters. So 400 meters is 750 kilohertz. And if you look at WJZ, which was the precursor to WABC, I think they were on either 750 or 760. They were somewhere. They all got moved up. I think it was during the war, right after WW2, that they moved all AM broadcast stations a little bit for whatever reason. So it's like they took his suggestions, and they put their. I think their first thing was in Schenectady, but their first, big bucks New York City operation, which really came from New Jersey. But anyway, they put it right exactly where he recommended. W2 very weak.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? It's like he knew stuff, and all that emergency communications. It's amazing, Back then, at the start of all this radio stuff, and the other amazing thing was that he was a teenager when he was doing all that, and these people from these corporations and the government and everything were coming to him for advice and tips on like how to do this stuff. He was right at the forefront of it, and he said himself a lot of the older folks weren't getting involved in it, and it was a learning curve, just like I guess today with computers and this and that, but it was all a bunch of young boys, as he said, and that's just amazing, that they were using this technology, and they were the authority on it or whatever, and just because they were teenagers, it didn't mean anything. They knew stuff, and people relied on them, and I guess things have changed. It's just too easy to spread misinformation and get your opinion out there. And in general, if somebody's young, you don't listen to them. In 2020, you haven't paid your dues, you haven't been around the block, like listen to us. I've been doing this for 30 years, and that, I think that stifles innovation and things like that, and that really happens, and people have said that to me, regardless of what I come out and say. Oh, well, I've been doing this longer than you, so listen to me. And it just shows you how much different things were back then. It's just, I think I was born in the wrong time, man. Like, it would have been very, very cool to be alive back then and live in that and see all that stuff happening, because it's not the same today. And maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's a wash. Who knows? But that's another thing about it that I just found super interesting. W2BTK on Montana Mountain.
Roger. Yeah, W2BTK. This is W2VW. Talking about the W6AM YouTube video made in 1984. Now, that was another takeaway that I wanted to mention. See, if I were a little more organized, I would have wrote a few of them down, but I still haven't made it through the whole video. I didn't get all the way to the end. I saw about half of it last night. I was sitting here sorting some stuff out and looking at that with one eye, so, I absorbed maybe 60% of what's there. I could have gotten a lot more organized for this talk. But one of the takeaways that I wanted to mention with you is exactly what you said, but you didn't interpret it the way I do. He said there's no older guys involved with radio because they don't get it. Now, what does that remind you of, where there's no older guys now, or very little of them?
Exactly. Probably all this Well, what I'm doing right now, maybe getting on Twitch TV, gaming, computers, this kind of stuff. I don't know. Is that what you're going for? And I'm going to go into the other room real quick and turn up the wick.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going for there. Exactly my point is that there are young people, they seem to be able to adapt quickly to the PC and things you do with it, and gaming, and today's hackers, tomorrow's programmer, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. It's another one of those. I mean, you're talking what, 3 generations later here, and it still works the same way. It's just the hardware is different.
It's kind of amazing. All right, I hung out because I wanted to hear what you said when I opened that door. It is so noisy, but give me 10-15 seconds. I'm gonna go in the other room and just turn up the wick a little bit. It's amazing that there are almost 4 megahertz of spectrum here not being used. Like, literally, we might be the only signal on the band anywhere near here, and yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. There's plenty of room. You don't have to be in our passband. I'm gonna go turn up the wick. W2BTK.
Okay, I'll be just sitting here for a minute.
All right, let me throw a little bit more audio on the carrier here. Just one moment. Let's see, analog 1. Hello? Hello? Sorry if this is annoying. Okay, that should do. How are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you a little bit louder, which is good, because there's a buzzy that migrated up here from down lower. I would have fired up down on 72 or 74 on either side of that dumb noise that I get on 73. But there's another noise that's down there now, beside that noise and the other noise.
Yeah, I was just, there was something right in our passband right there, and I'm not blaming them, because it's entirely possible that they didn't know that we're here, but I'm going to try to just reserve this space a little bit, because I'm looking at the pan adapter, and there is nothing but free frequencies here. So, there you go. Let's just be here. W2BTK.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that their receive situation is bathed in so much crap that they probably can't hear us, and they'll probably get on in the afternoon testing, because nobody uses this band during the day, especially in June, A lot of people think like that. And man, I can tell you, going from where you could hear a pin drop in this neighborhood to thousands of noise sources, and noise mitigation is very important. And the number one most effective noise mitigation technique it's called get the sky hook up, way up in the air. For me, anyway. And that works. But the problem with this setup is it's not maximized for this band. And some of the antennas much lower than it would have been if I went back to my 100-foot center-fed flat top. I'm really mulling that over, because I get pretty good coverage in Europe with this antenna on 80 meters. And I didn't have that for years. I couldn't put a signal into Europe at all. If I went down in the window, it was like, forget it, don't waste your time. because the antenna was sighted for 40 meters to null out European broadcasts. So you'd be on in the late afternoon, and these giant broadcast guys would fire up in your passband. Well, I would pick up another 15 or 20 minutes of being able to hear whoever I'm talking to, who was usually further west. And that worked out really well, and I sighted the antenna for that, cut down all the other trees, which they were garbage trees anyway, most of them. They were pines that looked really bad. But the point is, the axis of my antenna points at 45 degrees or so, a great circle heading for a lot of Europe. So, but now with this current setup here, the transmit in Europe works so much better on this band. And the null, I told you where the null is exactly where I would want it to be. It's in the number one QRM causing district on this band. Thank you. W2VW.
Yep. Well, this thing is behaving really well. No, it's knowing stuff about antennas is I think that's being lost as well. There's a lot of people who don't have a lot of knowledge of antennas, myself included, but at least I'm trying to learn. That I think that's the difference. A lot of people come out and, my antenna is great, and I'm running a resonant coax fed dipole or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And it kind of goes to our conversation yesterday that I was having with Clark about that ground wire underneath the antenna and why it really wouldn't do that much, in my opinion. Or if you look at the way the Yagis work or this or that, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? It's kind of funny. W2BTK.
Yeah, those videos are great, man. I heard some of that. They're really good while I'm doing stuff around here. Always got something going on around here. As a matter of fact, I have a task that I want to do this afternoon here. Probably while we're on the air, I got to fix one of my outdoor umbrellas. And hello to is that 2XG out there in Cyberland? Hello. And where was I going? Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. People come up with these things that can't be duplicated as far as antennas go, and it's like a smoke screen, man. The only guy I ever saw or heard stick a reflector under his dipole that anything useful happened with was K1 Jesus and Jefferson, who put a reflector underneath an antenna. I guess it was like 180 feet or something. And if you ever get to use a dipole at 180 feet on this band, especially in the winter and the lower sunspot portions of the cycle like now, you can't talk to your friends with that at all. You go right over their heads. I got to use one on a job site one time. We had a crane, and running the GC, and the crane guy left us some rigging for a weekend, and I went out there. I had a flu too, and this is in February. Went out there with a TS440, and we stuck up a 80-160 fan dipole. Yes, W2VW used a fan dipole. But we called it a parallel dipole back then. And the ends of the thing were near the ground, but we had, man, I don't know how much, I can't even remember. It took me like 15 minutes to get to the end and tie it off. We just had this, it was this giant stretch on Route 130 out in Dayton, New Jersey, where they were building all these All these buildings were being put up, really nice buildings. They're still up there. One of them was East Park, if you've ever heard of that. Anyway, we were building that, and went out there, and I heard all my friends on, and it was really hard getting signal reports with a barefoot TS440 sitting in this 1985 Dodge pickup truck. Yeah. Whenever it rained, it wouldn't start because the distributor cap was right underneath the junction of the hood and the cowl that leaked on it.
Wow. That blew my mind. A fan dipole. Or parallel dipole. I'm sorry, but I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. And yes, that's Tommy W2 Extra Gravy in the chat. Welcome. I can talk to you directly over the air because you're a ham. And he says his wife's in the office, so he can't transmit. Couldn't hear you, Dave, and I'm just barely poking out. So conditions are bad.
It is seriously hot out there. I must have sweated out 2.5 quarts. Holy mackerel. WB2GCR in the sweat lodge.
By the way, if Tommy is talking, I have no way of knowing that.
Tommy? Who's Tommy? Tommy who?
Well, you'll just have to talk to him on the Twitch feed there. I mean Twitch.
You guys are on frequency?
Yeah, I could do that if you don't mind the latency. I'll just tune in and turn on to that.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, he's not. You can just read his chats. You don't have to monitor. I think you're better off monitoring via RF to have this QSO, but if you pop open the feed, you can see all Tommy's comments in there. Twitch.tv/amateur radio, except I spelled amateur incorrectly. A true amateur, you can find the link in my QRZ profile if you look me up, W2BTK. But in case you don't feel like going on the computer, it's twitch.tv/AMATUERRADIO. And you can watch there. Follow along. It's W2BTK.
I was just reading on the New York Dentist bulletin board that one of the radio stations was fined $50,000 for saying one of their shows was a live show, and it wasn't. Wow.
You know, and like, look at this, W6AM video and the way things were with the broadcast. Amateurs were allowed to broadcast. The broadcast stations were talking to the amateur stations, and it was like free and open, and everybody behaved and had a good time, and wow, we've lost our way. Look at all these regulations and restrictions, and you can't do this, and oh, we're gonna slap you with a $250,000 fine because you said that your thing was live and it's not, or $250,000's probably an exaggeration, but a huge fine. And that's what it's about. Oh, you want to talk here? Pay up. Here's the rules. Make sure that I mean, what? There's no, I don't know. Like, look at how much growth and innovation happened during that time, the birth of all this, with all that stuff that W6AM was talking about, and look how it is now. Why would you ever want to get into radio broadcast? Is there a reason? I mean, yeah, I guess you want to make money. But other than that, there's no incentive. And it's, you'll be punished more often than you are rewarded by it.
Yeah, well, the whole radio business model, commercial radio business model is so circling the drain now, especially AM. The land is worth way more than the whole station. You see what happened with the Clark thing up there in Connecticut. Wow, it's Monday morning and your tower is gone. Crazy stuff. You don't hear him on the air for a couple of months because he's got to babysit some rigged up stuff. It's a good thing they had him, because who would have done that? But yeah, it looks like low-hanging fruit, but there's always some jerk that's ruined it for everybody else, and that's where all these regulations come from, because people can't be cool and they take it a little bit too far. They push it a little bit. There used to be music QSOs on here in the 70s and all the 60s, but I wasn't listening in the 60s. But I remember in the 70s, you'd hear music QSOs on 160. I think the last one of those I ever heard was probably around 1995 or so. And there were a couple of guys who were pretty good-sized pirate broadcasters that would get on 39 meters. And they also would get on here. Same people, same transmitters. That made fun. That one thing that I sent you there that time, made fun. It was interesting stuff. I mean, the thing is, people go too far. Of course, now you've got more of these, weirdos like that dude put us up on his website, who go around and doing nothing but QRMing people and then joining in on the occasional far-right QSO. That's all that guy does with radio. He goes up and down the band trying to jam people. He's a real wacko. I don't think he realizes that we've met. I don't think he knows that. I would really like to see the light bulb go off over the guy's head. It was right about a year ago. I sat there, I was at a party, and he was at the same party, and about a half hour talking to him, face to face, with nobody else there. I don't know if he's put two and two together yet, Doug. Anyway, you want to talk about a problem with the FCC? Yeah, he had a little problem with them, too. But, anyway. I guess it happens.
Yeah, double standards, stupidity, this and that. I guess he's not really used to stuff being very well documented. And that's the other thing about this day and age. You can just, it's all out there. You pull your smartphone out of your pocket, fire up a Twitch stream. People can come in 10 years, they can pull this up on YouTube and listen to it. But I guess you're talking about that W2VW guy, or whatever his call is. That's really funny stuff, man. Guys like that. And back to the W6AM video, they touch on that at the very, very end. And he refers to it as, the 1% of people who are trying to disrupt stuff and Well, that was 1984. I think that percentage has jumped considerably. So there's a lot of people doing stuff like that now, and I don't know what it is, boredom or human nature, as he said, but it's out there and it's rampant. It's, kind of disgusting. It depends what mood you're in, you know what I mean? And it's commonplace.
Your nickname is QRO? Who gave you that?
Seriously. My nickname is HRO.
That should be Mikey's nickname, HRO.
Well, I wanted to say that, but I used myself. But yes.
Yeah, how much HRO stuff do you have there?
None. I don't think I bought anything from HRO. Most of the nice stuff that I have is audio processing, and that doesn't come from HRO. They don't sell any of the stuff I want as far as audio processing. That came from, Sweetwater Sound and here and there. It's mostly stuff I've collected over the past 10 years or so. A lot of it came from the days when I was in college doing actual mixing and mastering and making projects and stuff, so it's reused. And then all the other nice stuff that I have, like this coaxial dynamics Watchman meter, well, you know where that came from. And a lot of it is hand me down or parts from expensive television transmitters that have been decommissioned and scrapped into ham radio stuff. And let's see, this I bought this modulator, this Crown audio amplifier. That was secondhand from eBay. This Denon receiver that I'm using to monitor Yawn right now, that was some rich guy was throwing it away when they renovated their house, so I took that. And very, very little of this station is HRO kind of stuff. The 1950s exciter that I'm using, well, you gave me that. Gave me that because I guess you thought it would make a worthwhile explosion, and here I am years later using it. And I know you get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So yeah, I can safely say that there's really no HRO stuff in this ham Radio Shack. And I guess I'm gonna try my damnedest to keep it that way. Hey, maybe I'll even finish my 810 rig.
Well, that'd be really cool if you finished your 810 rig, man. Yeah, that'd make a good transmitter. I'm violating my design goal here of this shack. The whole idea for summer was to use the modern, quote-unquote, exciter and the 30S1 and send all the heat away and not have any noticeable temperature rise in the shack. But of course now I'm using the Junction 500, and all of the wasted energy is in the shack, 100% of it. So it sits here and it drives the poor thermostat nuts. So the air conditioning is like, I think I can. It just sits there and groans, and then before I know it, there's no humidity left in the home.
Yeah, I got around that. I'm sure that the room behind me is heating up. All my wasted energy's in there, except for whatever comes off this audio rack, out of this modulator, which I'm just tickling, and these computers generate some heat. But all the real heat is back there And this is new for me. You know, I'm used to sitting in a room that heats up and is very noisy. So, yeah, designing your shack like that is I should have done it a long time ago, you know. I see how you've got your stuff laid out, and I've had that in my head for years. It's just I don't know, if it's just easier to have one spot and you keep piling all your crap up like it's Manhattan until you can't take it anymore, and then this happens. But it's not easy. I guess that's why. Is it time to ID yet? I just throw my ID out there a lot because I don't like to. I don't want to be. I want to be in compliance. W2BTK.
W2 very weak. I've been identifying on the zeros. That makes it easy. And I'm sitting here looking at your feed also, so I've got the clock right in front of me for once. And I haven't read the Clark Guide to interpreting Part 97 the wrong way yet.
See, I interpreted Part 97 wrong the other day, and you jumped right on me. Somebody, and I forget who it was, they told me that when you identify your station, it doesn't count unless you say it exactly as written on your FCC license. Like, for example, if I was to say my name with phonetics, that doesn't count. I would have to say W2BTK. But then I actually read the Part 97 rules and found out that they encourage you to use standard phonetics. Although that word standard slipped my mind when I brought it up. So I said, W2BT kilowatt or whatever, or and that's a violation. You have to say Whiskey 2 Bravo Tango Kilo, and then you're good. But it's funny, like, you hear stuff and people tell you things, and you take it as gospel because, you know, they're older than you or been doing it for a lot longer and this and that. But then you actually go read Part 97 and see that they're wrong. And until you do that, which you might never do, that's the problem, you don't know. So you gotta figure it out for yourself. It's all written down somewhere. But it's just, I don't know, I guess that kind of ties into some of the stuff we were talking about before.
Well, here's a good subject, and you can put that in your description of the video: how to lose your CB accent. So I have a few things to say about that. And of course, everybody who's on amateur radio today is familiar with CB radio, unless they're full of crap. And so when I first got my first call sign in 1974, which was WN2 Zulu Juliet India, that's a mouthful, which, by the way, was automatically changed by the FCC. They dropped the N's, and they mailed me a WB2ZJI license, back when you used to get a hard copy license. I found that I found my listing in a 1976 call book that's online. I haven't been able to find it in anything older. I don't know if the 75 one is there or if I'm just not in it. Whatever. But anyway, when you first got a novice call back then, the ARRL would mail you a copy of How to Lose Your Novice Accent. It was a little pamphlet. I still have it around here somewhere. It's also online. But what they do is they teach you the procedure that you need to get on the air with CW and be smooth. You know, all the time-saving things, the abbreviations you're going to run into, what they mean when they're used, when they're not used. And some of that stuff that's in that, you'll find today is being argued by people online. But no, that's the wrong way to do it. But anyway, that's what I did when I first got on CW. But anyway, I think we need to regenerate that for people who are coming from the CB and don't want to sound like total jackasses. I know, like when Kerry and Kenny got on here, I used to fine them 25 cents, every time they did anything CB-esque. And they're like, keep it up, keep fining us. And they never paid me either, Could probably have bought a brand new pizza or something with that money. But anyway, it did add up. And then at some point, I quit that. But, man, you got lots of them, like anything jargon on phone, any kind of jargon whatsoever that doesn't save time is just dumb. And a lot of guys used jargon in the 70s. People who were new hams in the 70s on phone, they would use this goofball speak stuff. And it was pretty popular. But QRM, QRN, QSY, things like that, they all save time. So I think they're valid. Now, standard phonetics, we can revisit the CB accent thing. I could talk about that like all afternoon. I could do my Clark impression. Yeah. I might need more coffee or whatever it is that Clark drinks when he's on the air. Standard phonetics. Now, of course, we can argue that because there are more than one kind of standard phonetics. You've got Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, and then there's the Adam, Baker, Charlie, I don't even know what D is. You get the point. There's different ones. But one thing's for sure, like that time that we ran into that guy who was trying to break in here with a weak signal, and he started using cutesy phonetics, like my cat rules or something for a suffix or something that nobody's ever going to get unless they know the guy. I mean, that's just, why would you do that, Yes, exactly, Adam 12. Adam 12 used Adam, Baker, Charlie, I don't know what D is in that. I memorized the whole other one. Juliet, India, Kilo, Quebec, Romeo. How's the alphabet go? Yeah, it's like Sophia Loren trying to count to 10.
Yeah, but Tommy's right. This is nothing about a standard phonetics in the Part 97 rules. It says that you need to use a phonetic alphabet, or use of a phonetic alphabet is encouraged. So really, you can make up anything you want, and it's compliant as far as identifying your station. So that's kind of out the window too. It's weird, you really got to read through this crap. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, if you're really, really having a problem getting your call sign over to somebody and you use goofy, cutesy phonetics, like you're doing yourself a disservice or whatever, or maybe you just don't really care about the person copying you, but yeah, standard phonetics is the way to go if you're truly trying to communicate in, piss poor conditions, or you're real weak or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting, You talk about this stuff all day, and I'm sure that there's tons of hams out there who don't read Part 97 and go by what somebody told them. So yeah, that's kind of a problem, huh?
Well, every ham is supposed to have access to and read Part 97. I mean, you're supposed to have a copy of Part 97. You're also supposed to have a antenna, a dose your neighbor calculation if you run certain amounts of power on certain bands and your antenna's low and all that stuff. You're supposed to have done your RF exposure calculations. How many people have done that? How many? I ask you, do you know? Yeah, how's this? This is my up-close and personal Frank Zappa voice.
Sounds good on the 12-inch subs. I just turned them up a little bit.
Yeah, now I heard you jiving with that cosmic debris.
don't eat the yellow snow. But yeah, see that we're talking about the losing the CB lingo, and that's a good thing. If you want to get out here, the CB lingo it is what it is. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's not helpful. But the thing is, and I came straight from CB. I was a technician for 10 years, didn't use it at all, had no interest in being on repeaters, and then one day, I got my general and I got out here, and that's what changed me. But as far as when I started to get back into ham and I was still just a tech, I was getting on the repeaters every morning, talking to the guys, and I was used to being on the CB, and I didn't say CB stuff, but it would slip every once in a while. Q codes were a new thing for me, and I would say, okay guys, I'm pulling up to the home 20, and I really had a great time talking to you out here on ham radio. It has encouraged me to do it again tomorrow, so thank you. And God, the 3 people keyed up all at the same time and threw me under the bus. They trashed me. Said, you don't use 10 codes on here. Get out of here with that crap. Whoa. It's the nice conversation that we had, and the ham who was just getting back into the hobby, just rekindling their interest, was like, holy crap, I just got chewed up and spit out. They didn't correct me. They jumped on my back. And that's not cool, man. So just gently letting people know that, hey, I understand your situation. I know that you are big CBer, and I'm not going to trash you for it. I welcome you to the hobby. Let me tell you that, it's preferred that we use Q codes. So instead of saying home 20, why don't you say QTH and try to get used to that? No, they didn't say anything like that. They chewed me up and spit me out, man. So I said, the hell with it. Got back on my CB and had some fun with the radio hobby, but it's just all about attitude, really. Some people don't mean it. I mean, it slipped. Yeah, I said home 20. They want to kill me for it. It's crazy, It's not like I got on there and was saying "Right, Joe, oh, you got all that audio, my receiver down here, you sounding good on that repeater, break." None of that crap. I slipped and said home 20, and they didn't let me live it down, And I got off the air and they talked about it for 15 more minutes. Can you believe that guy? Oh my God. So approach is really important. W2BTK.
And then you found 3885, W07B. Yeah, W2VW. Somebody here says destinated. Yeah, that's one of those made up words that people use. Why, I don't know. Yes, somebody brought that up on the chat there. Who's a licensed amateur. So I think we can legally talk to him on the chat because he's a licensed amateur who has an attic dipole, who works the world with it, but he ain't working a world on this band, not this afternoon. Forget that. Not going to happen. W2VW. Well, sorry you got chewed out, Billy, by some dopes, and that happens. And you know what it is? You won't get chewed out by somebody who's really, really competent and also comfortable with their knowledge level. You're going to get chewed out by somebody because you made a mistake and you sound just a tiny bit stupider than they are. So they're going to make the most out of it. That's all that is. You're dealing with somebody there who's feels himself is probably not very stellar, and maybe even for a good reason. So that's part of life. You got to deal with that. So we just get on the air and complain about it. So what we really need to do is have you ever look at Audacity? You look at the waveform on there when people are having a QSO and it's several people. And you can tell, like, when one guy is dominating the QSO just by, you don't even have to listen to it. You just look at the waveform. You can tell who's doing all the talking. And we need to do something similar, but we need to have a gripe waveform or a color for when we're complaining about crap on the air. You know, put it out on Audacity somehow.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I think I heard Bruce in there. It was a little low. Dave, I don't think you heard him at all. But maybe he has something to add.
Oh, I'm just listening here. And you guys aren't very strong here. Usually I don't hear any signals on it at 2 in the afternoon. So, well, 3 now. But, yeah, hey, you know, it is what it is. And you have to, you know, there's some people out there that, you know, that want to point things out. But I'm gonna go back in the woodwork here, and I'll probably talk to you tonight. In WL7B, Bristol, Connecticut. Break.
Had to throw the break in there. All right, Bruce. Yeah, and so we're on now. It's at about 3:30. Dave was looking at the weather radar, and I think this whole place is going to crap out again with lightning crashes. So if it's possible to do so, yeah, I'll talk to you tonight, but I'm not very hopeful. So 7-3 there, good buddy.
Yes, sir. A good buddy. Yeah, I know. I was watching it too, and I saw that it's going to get crappy. I heard John last night, and but I heard the lightning crashes on your Twitch site, and I said, I ain't gonna bother going downstairs. And then I heard it outside, so left everything disconnected. Hey, let me get back here. I gotta go and take care of a few things. Gotta make my bed. I washed all the sheets today. It's Friday. Ha ha ha. 73s.
Yeah, Bruce, you're kind of almost poking out of the crud level down here in Beechwood Mountain, but it's rough. There's a lot of neighborhood Chinesium noise going on here during the day on this band. And I usually don't operate here during the day anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. You know, we could make it easily on Slot Bucket, and there's nothing wrong with your signal whatsoever. It's just the SNR right now. There was a really nasty birdie that moved up here from lower. But Billy overcomes it. But Billy's got a low antenna, and he is blanketing the terrain with RF. Yeah, too bad. I had a KL7 propagation question for you, but I'll wait until things are in the clear. I want to talk to you about what it's like to work different places when you live up there. I'm sure you know. But we'll put that off till another time. Anyway, 7-3. Roger, right on. W2 very weak.
73. I got the amp up. You're not hearing me at all now.
I still saw you on the pan adapter there, Bruce, but your audio was barely over the noise level. So, well, anyway, let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of chat happening in here in the Twitch stream. Good stuff. That meme, Tommy, that's a good one, you know. Only hams will get it, but the ones that do, I mean, the first time you sent that, I was rolling on the floor laughing. ROFL, if you will. And he can't respond over there, but Dave, you came up too. I mean, on that last over, your SNR was above 60, so it was nice.
Yeah, well, that's the end part on your end. There's nothing I'm doing special here. I'm not even on frequency. I'm at 3884.2, and I don't care. How about that?
Yeah, I've been watching you drizzift a little bit. I've drifted away from where I started, but only about half of what you got there. So I zeroed right on you with my receiver about 15 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago or whatever. So I'm following you, and my VFO is following you too, but it's not quite as quickly. Oh, now you're gonna make me. All right, hold on.
I can't help myself.
Let's see. Oh man, I went way past the mark. See, I have no way of knowing. I just guess. Let me come back. All right, I'm above 3885 now, but whatever.
Yeah. I'm 13 cycles above. According to Hewlett and Packard Industry Standard 8901A, precision demodulator. Best demodulator you can get. Yeah. Bought that for doing Bessel Null on Channel 4 Exciter. Yeah, baby. I have another one here too, but it's inoperative. I really need to take it out of the mothballs and swap modules with this one and figure out what's wrong with the thing. Every once in a while, you'll find one of those for like $100. It's one of those you got to stalk, you know. And if you stalk enough, you'll find one. But if you buy it from some place that does nothing but test equipment, they'll give you probably one that's filled with parts from being cannibalized. Well, you got some dark skies off of the northeast here, but I don't think this is going to come in just yet. I'm actually fighting with my patio umbrella here. I've got it on two chairs, two metal chairs, and trying to fix something that's wrong. I have two of them, and one of them, the threads gave up on the very top of it. I guess the sun, whatever thread they use, it just disintegrated. So I restitched that one yesterday. I was sitting out there in 91 degree sunlight, stitching that in the backyard at the table. And this one I decided I'm going to bring this in and work on it while I'm talking with Billy. Because I need to do stuff around here, you know, just to keep up with maintenance. It's nice and quiet. And nobody's interrupting me except myself. Let's see. Let me check a few things here. Yeah, this is okay. This is not bad. I'll take it. W2 very weak.
You're about 130, Ellie.
$130?
That's what I'm getting.
Is that parsecs?
It's cycles per second.
130. Yeah, that's right. We're absolutely right. It's I was off by a factor of 10. Is that right? Yeah. Yes, you're right.
SDRs don't lie, if they're calibrated.
Yeah, I was going to say, using a GPS 10 megahertz reference standard?
It's a built-in temperature-controlled oscillator, but it's been set to WWV, so I know it's pretty close.
Yeah, I'm just razzing you there. You used to have to do that, though, with the exciters at work. They wanted them like gnats, you-know-what, because when you're flicking between TV channels, if everybody has a very tight standard, your typical TV receiver will lock up quicker if somebody's flicking around. That was the reason for that.
Yep, yeah, just listening. This is Ron, Dave, WB2RON out here on Long Island.
I knew that. I actually have equipment here. I can see you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes. You're the precursor to Eric. You've been on longer than Eric.
Well, yes and no. I got my license before he did, but he's been on he probably has about 100 times as much airtime as I do.
Yes, but you were there before. See, there's always, it's true. It's never simple.
Anyway, you sound terrific here, as usual.
Yeah, thanks. You're pouring in here, too, overcoming the noise and crap. So that's good. Good to hear you on here. I really haven't heard anybody have a QSO on here besides Bayer. You take two and call me in the morning.
Yeah, I don't get on here on AM much lately. I've been dabbling with sideband slop bucket. Gotta say the right terminology here. Slop bucket. And just listen once in a while. But when I heard you say 13 cycles, I said, that's Dave. He's an engineer. He's got to know. We got to tell him. We got to correct him.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Bill. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now I feel worse. My VFO drifts 10 times worse than... What a piece of crap. Yeah, I should go back to my crystal that's off frequency.
Yeah, at least it won't drift.
Yeah, I actually set up this station to run with my modern exciter for an RF exciter. And I did that with the Johnson kilowatt, but I'm on the Johnson 500 right now, which shares all the control circuitry with the kilowatt and the power supply and the modulator, the way I've got it set up here. So the kilowatt's just a completely dumb box, which it's a pretty dumb box to begin with. I've dumbed mine down even more. But it's not in service right now. I've got the RF deck down in the basement, and I'm doing some more mods to it. But I found out that toward the end of 10 meters, working guys in the UK, mostly, and Scotland, are really nice guys over there. A lot of them are boat anchor aficionados. They've got some of the European ones, but a couple of those guys have, things like DX100s or a DX100U. 32V3, stuff like that. And if you don't drift, they know you're using a modern radio, and it's not as cool. So I thought I would save the Johnson 500 for a 10-meter machine. And thus far, I have resisted the temptation to use the solid-state exciter with this, although I have all the plumbing in place to do it. It would be like... I don't have a drive cable, a spare one, so I'd have to run a cable from the top of the rack under the floor over to the console and blah, blah, blah. So it's a couple hours worth of work, but I've resisted it, so here I drift.
Yeah, just curious, when you say 10-meter AM, is that recently? I haven't tuned up to the AM portion. I know the band has been on and off, but I haven't bothered to go up to the AM portion in a while to see if there's any activity up there. Yeah, and all I would do with the SDR is just change my transmit frequency. I could do it manually, I think, make this thing drift up and down. Let me see if I can do that. I'm going to change my frequency in 10 hertz segments while I'm talking. Oh, no, it won't let me do it. Oh, well, I thought it would let me do it, but it won't. Let's see. I do have a transmit XIT. Let me see. Let's see if this lets me do it. Yeah, this lets me do it. There we go. Okay, I'm up about 100 hertz now. And, okay, so now I'm using an old boat anchor here. You can see me changing frequency. That's all.
Yeah, you could be like the DSP guitar pedal or something like that. Yeah, you might be able to fool some of the people some of the time.
Yeah. Your AM activity on 10 meters, is that recently?
Yeah, I haven't had a really good QSO across the pond since 2016. Maybe October, November, December. It's been that long. And the E-skip on 10 meters has been fantastic here over the last couple of years. This year, it's been even better than it was last year. I didn't think it could be any better, but I've been doing a lot of FT8 on 10 meters. And recently had a two-way contact with India, of all places. And, for instance, last week, 3 days out of the week, the band was open into Europe. A lot of Europeans on there. And it was so good that, I saw guys on phone from the UK. I didn't work any of them, but I heard them strong enough. I know I could have. I've got a pretty good antenna on that band, and that helps. That's what, guys want to get on with a coat hanger. That's not going to happen. And I even worked Todd, KC4 Tango Victor Zulu.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. What was I going to say? An interesting note I came across this morning. I have a Anon here now, Dave. I used to run the Flex 1000. I got this Anon 7000 DLE Mark II. It's new, and just loaded some new software in here. Not the regular software. This is what they call Thetis. I just loaded it yesterday. It works fine. Got some nice features in it. And I'm looking in the manual, and I'm thinking, now, this is all new stuff, okay? And they talk about AM, and this is what it says about AM. AM voice. Double sideband with carrier. It says here, no longer in common use. I didn't know that.
Let me have that double sideband with carrier rut. You're in the middle of a deep QSB.
Yeah, they describe the different modes, CW, upper sideband, suppressed carrier, and all of these different modes. And when they describe AM, they call it double sideband with carrier, which is exactly what it is, and that's how they generate it in the SDR radio. And right next to that, it says no longer in common use.
Yeah. Well, I remember back when Tech didn't have AM in any of their rigs, and if you ask them about it, they would tell you that AM was obsolete. And W2IQ Hank down there in Tennessee, who used to be near them, dialogue, and it took a little while. But Tech started putting the AM in their rig, so want to sell radios, you put it in there, which they have it in there, but somebody had to put that little footnote in it. Some slop bucket did that.
Yeah, well, this radio was developed in India, I guess. Well, it was originally manufactured in India. They moved the manufacturing to Australia. So I don't know where this manual came from. Well, Thetis was done over here, I think. I thought Thetis software was developed in the United States. I don't know. Perhaps it was, I know it was a bunch of people that developed the software. I'll have to ask Rob, W1AEX, about that. I just thought that was strange. So, all right, Dave, just to be on the side here for a little while. FT8, you mentioned FT8. I dabbled with that a couple of months ago. It was okay. It was easy to get going. And it was all a lot better than that JT65 that I played around with last year. That I didn't like at all. You gotta wait a whole minute. At least with FT8, it's 15 second. Actually, it's a little shorter than that. 15 second transmit and receive cycles. So, that's a little more doable than waiting a whole minute. So FT8, I can see, is extremely popular. And it was fun, for what it is, but I still prefer talking.
Yep. Yeah, understood. I can understand anybody who doesn't like FT8 or it doesn't hold their attention. It's to me, it's a good propagation tool, and it's a good way to weigh your station, especially if you have somebody who's got a well-equipped station and in your area, in your immediate area, and you can go back and forth and see changes on both sides, which is ham radio tradition, all your hams, contesters and stuff. And there have been a lot of contesters on FT8 that I've run into, and they're doing stuff, because it's not just getting paper, and people think that, and there's a whole lot of hate for FT8, but it's the most popular mode right now, and man, it needs more room. There's not enough bandwidth for it. Worse than AM. But had it not been for a younger ham who decided to help me out setting it up, I wouldn't be here bitching about it like you hear, but I probably wouldn't be using it. Anyway, thanks to all you young folks out there who help out us old folks. And good to hear you on, Ron. So WB2RON, this is W2 very weak here on Beechwood Mountain, drifting away.
W2BTK.
I doubled. I heard a BTK in there. Let me just write that down. Yeah, okay, Dave, very good. Yeah, I got it. You just reminded me of something with the old software I had in my memory, in the memory that's memory box. I had all the FT8 channels on all the bands set in there, so I would just click on it and I could see right away if a band was open, because the first place you're going to find it is on FT8. So I would just click on the 10 meter portion of FT8 and I would see if 10 meters is open. It was a great tool. Especially that it's in the lower part of the band, because that's where it's going to open first. So if you don't see signals on there, it's not open. So I find it very handy for that. So anyway, all right, Dave. Good to hear you again. You always sound good. You always sound great audio. Sounds fantastic over here. We'll catch you later. You can pick it up with BTK. I'll be on this side. W2VW. This is WB2RON clear.
Okay, thanks for stopping by. Billy?
What?
I know you're eating lunch, so I figured I would take over the spot so you could enjoy your lunch. I'm guessing it's pizza. I wasn't looking. I just see you chewing, but I'm thinking it's pizza.
How did you know? I mean, I don't get pizza all the time, but maybe once a week, and then I eat it for a couple days, I get a bunch of pizza. And it makes good lunch. I don't heat it up. I just eat it cold right out of the fridge. Kind of, I don't know, somebody might think that's nasty, but it's good.
No, there's nothing wrong with cold pizza if it's the right pizza, but I prefer a little RF on my pizza to warm it up, But hey, if it works for you, it works for you. It's the same exact nutritional value, I would think. It might help. It might take several more thousand calories to digest it if it's cold than if it's warm, I would think, So you can keep your slim, trim figure there. I don't know. As long as you can pick up heavy stuff. And this guy here online, Yeah, FTA to the death ring. You know what that is? That's when, if you're working on like an antenna connection, or if your amplifier is hooked up while you're using FT8, when you go over to your whatever, you can get killed or zapped or RF burn when the FT8 keys up by itself. You got to really watch anything that takes your station from receive to transmit by itself. That's a great way to get hurt. I heard stories about people that used Vox and did something stupid back in the day, you know, when people had amplifiers with no panels on them. I had that for a while. I had a cat change my mind, though.
Yeah, that's scary as hell. And I've caught myself a couple times where, like, I was calling CQ on FT8, and, like, I get up and go over by my stuff, and then, like, I hear a relay click, and I'm like, oh my God, it would be very easy to die right now. So it's a good point. Vox is well, I've never used Vox on phone, but yeah, that's really dangerous too. I just remember all those stories, and I know your story about the cat, and that's why I have a foot pedal like that. So even if I was touching something that I shouldn't, my foot will most likely come off of the pedal, and it'll go dead. But yeah, it's you can totally die with all this equipment, man. It's scary stuff. You have to have your stuff together. Safety. I mean, how many hams go, you know, when they're gonna go work on something? I'm sure they unplug it somehow or this or that, but do they lock it out? No, nobody does that. We have all those safety protocols in place at work when we're doing electrical work, but, like, you know, you should really, my point is, they're there for a reason. Safety is generally overlooked a lot in this hobby, I think, and, well, you hear about a lot of guys who aren't around anymore sticking their hands in stuff, and that's that. It will kill you real fast. But as far as FT8 is great, and even if you don't think so, you have to view it how Dave views it, as a tool, a propagation tool. And for that, there's nothing else really like it. I mean, there's the reverse beacon network with CW, but, you know, for those of us who don't really have a grasp on Morse code yet, you can get out on FT8, and it'll decode even past the point of CW. I mean, where you lose a CW signal, you can still decode an FT8 signal, and it's a few dB down, you know, from the very fringe, like the most fringe CW signal. An FT8 signal will beat it. So looking at it from that perspective, I don't see how anybody can talk crap about FT8 unless they just completely don't understand it, which I'm sure is the case in a lot of shacks. W2BTK.
W2. Very weak. Well, you know, in 2020, I think more people are getting hurt by towers and antennas and stuff than by electric shock accidents in amateur radio. You don't hear about very many of those, but you do still hear about towers and people doing stuff, and you know, it seems like there's an average of one or two of those a year that you hear about. And then every once in a while you hear about stuff in the industry. And right now with the TV repack and all that stuff that's going on, there's so many tower workers working, you know, and just busy, spread too thin, and a lot of people putting in more hours than they should be, physically demanding work. And I'm sure that I know, because I've worked with guys, and I see the first thing that goes is safety. It goes out the window. Especially when we were working over at the weather radar site. There was some scary crap going on there, you know. A couple of times I told those guys, look, I know your company is on you to get this done and pull off of here, but you've climbed up here already 4 times today with 45 pounds strapped to your back, and you're done. And if you want, I will call the job. They're like, no, we don't want to do that. We got something else to do. And you'd see the guy go up a third of the way, and he's dying. He had to take a break. And it wasn't even a break, because he's in the hot sun. He's got the sun right on. That's not a break. That's really bad. So, yep. It's all about exceeding your limits. Yep. I still have the same foot switch. Still do that the same way. The Junction 500 and the Kilowatt both have Vox connections. You can use both of them on Vox, and that's not for AM, but for SSB, because they both have linear amplifier, quote-unquote linear amplifier capability. It's not very linear because it's a grid-driven tetrode with no feedback. It's just the very worst way to amplify an SSB signal. It's crap. But you can make them leave the high voltage on, and you just got a key line, so it's not clunking. I used my Kilowatt very briefly on 160 SSB for a while just to try it out, and was unpleasantly surprised that it wasn't very good. But I might have been missing a few things, but I won't be doing that again anyway. I was thinking about building a cathode-driven circuit right into it, and doing it that way. That's probably never going to happen, because that's an exercise in shoehorning, and I'm getting tired of mechanical constraints of stuffing things into a box that's not meant to go in there. I mean, I'm very happy with the way I rebuilt the tank circuit and all that. Got it to work on 160, and taking out the weak burnt up stuff that was burnt up by the guy who used it before me, who used it. I mean, this rig was used a lot, which is great, but it also shows when things are broken and what you don't want in there. It's been a fun journey with that. We need to put the time in and get it back on but right now I got those things going on. Other irons in the fire. So did you see my video there? A modulation transformer video that's sideways. I hope that looked okay, Billy. 2BTK from W2 Very Weak.
I did see your video, but I just want to say, man, if you did feel like punishing yourself, having a way to drive the cathode of those, like an amplifier, and high level modulate, like at a switch, that would be, I mean, it's already the coolest Kilowatt because it's on 160, but if you did that, man, you'd have something. But yeah, I saw that video. It's good. I saw it when you made it. I think you sent it to my phone. It's good stuff, and nobody's commented yet, scratching their heads like, wait a minute, what? 4 ohms, QSC, what? Oh, it doesn't work. You can't do that. But I'm waiting for it, and it's gonna be good. I've got a bag of popcorn I haven't put in the microwave yet, but it's there waiting. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, really cool video. I mean, like, I'm waiting for a guy to key up and say, you can't do that. You got to test it with a tube modulator, but what's the difference? You've created the same basic output impedance that, like, the tube modulator would have. What the hell's the difference? Keeping the DC off everything, and like it works, but I'm just waiting for somebody to say that it doesn't work. or have a problem with it or this or that, because I know that that's where it's going to go. If enough people actually see the thread, wrap their head around it, and like understand what you're doing there, I think a lot of people are just going to see like, oh, like he's got an old transformer, like cool. They're not really going to scrutinize it, but if somebody does, it's going to be good. W2BTK.
Yeah, well, you know me. I like to argue with people over technical stuff because that's how you get good. You find somebody and you explain it to them. I mean, that was my life at work, was explaining to people who really weren't any more than scratching the surface with RF, but yet had to spend money on it and had to manage a budget and had to be told about what's going to go wrong next week, next month, next year, and all that stuff. And so, you know, the way you get good at that is you find somebody who's interested in this stuff, and you let them ask you questions as they're learning it, and you have to go back and explain it using the basics. How do you get to where you are? It's really engineering. You take one step at a time, and you prove everything, and then you're able to turn it around backwards like you would a math problem and work it backwards the other way, and so you've got it in two directions and you prove everything. Yeah, man, so that's always good fun. Yeah, I should have put that on the air for a while, you know, and waited for Timmy to get on. Hey, Timmy, guess what I'm doing? But, you know. The other thing is, also, I have one of these RCA pieces of mod iron here. And that thing is, I think it's 3-to-1. I could use that with one Antec and skip the second one and use that for a modulator. You know, that would be kind of fun to try it out. I mean, it's about 125, 130 pound piece of iron. It's very big. But it would work the same way. Certainly it's not going to get hurled up to the top of the shelf there. That the kilowatt iron is 51 pounds, and the other one's like a little less than half of that. So that's easy. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty valid way to test it. And I didn't sweep it or anything. There's no way I'm going to put a steady tone through it and burn it up, because that iron could be up to 83-4 years old, something like that. I don't know if it is. But the one that I have up for sale, I've got a guy that wants to buy it. He's just trying to work out logistics. But he says he has another one in service, so I'm assuming he wants a spare. So he's happy with the way it works. And that's good. I'd like to see that go to a good home. I know where that came from. I know where that thing has been for the last 50 years. And I know it wasn't used up until I put it on the air, which is why I wanted to test it. And then the other one that I'm going to get rid of is, it came with the kilowatt. As a spare, I guess he kept it for a the spare for the Johnson kilowatt. But the one that came with my kilowatt was good, which I never used. And I actually sold that too. It's like making space, man. I'm tired of stubbing my toe on all this crap that I'm never going to use. I'm done. Antex, where I wind it myself, and that's my operation transformer. That's how I'm going through there. Yeah, I see all the linkies you're putting up. Good stuff, man. You're doing that, but you haven't put your popcorn in yet. Yeah. You need to have a way. You need to have like a little pouch, you know. You can drop it in the amplifier or something, you know. Put the popcorn maybe like right next to the anode. I don't know if it'll pop like that. You got to figure out how to couple. Yeah, I mean, there's no law that says that your microwave's got to work at a couple of gigahertz. I mean, you know, 4 megahertz popcorn. Wonder if I could patent that.
Yeah, I should try that. I don't know. If I stuck some popcorn in there, I don't want to make any holes to like be able to stick stuff into the RF deck, but maybe I'll open it and like tape a bag of popcorn near the tank circuit or something, and talk for a couple hours and then open it back up, take the bag out, and see if any of them popped. And if they did, I'll eat them.
Good afternoon, M3 RIK.
Oh, wait, that's the Rick that's a Bruce, right?
You got it there. How you guys doing?
Pretty.
No, hello, Bruce.
We're doing okay, just using the band before the lightning gets so bad that it's unusable.
Huh, okay. Haven't heard much yet. The static crashes, but my noise level's pretty high. I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, good to hear you guys out here.
Yeah, nice to hear you too. And the static's it's just starting up. I'm starting to see some crashes on the pan adapter here, but it's just beginning.
Yeah, okay, sort of like the weather started getting rough and the tiny...
Yeah, but you're doing okay up here for now. Yeah, static crashes have started, and I'm anticipating maybe some nasty breezes and crap. At which point I will lower my crank-up power, and because not that it's not strong enough. This thing is ridiculously strong, but it beats up the wire antenna ridiculously. There's a lot of tension on my wire antenna. I've got a small lot. One side is on a tree, the other side is on a tree, and the tower is kind of, it's not the center of it, but it's supporting most of it. So actually the last storm that we had here a few days ago, which broke a lot of stuff locally, my neighbor lost half of one of his trees, and his patio furniture moved, and I guess he was lucky where the tree debris fell was not in a place where it would have broken a lot of stuff. But anyway, there was some wind here, some ridiculous wind coming out of the west of all places, which is not normal. And I'm really surprised nothing broke. But my wire antenna needed to be tension. It took like 2.5 feet of linear length to pull it back to get it tensioned again. I have no idea where that slack came from. It's made out of mostly number 12. So that's really kind of scary. Yes, the popcorn, that was one of the dumbest ideas that I've ever come up with. Thank you.
Which is why I'm going to try it.
I think what you need is around the anode of your final tube there, you need to have like a trough that goes all the way around it that you can fill with cooking oil, and it's got to be metallic, and you can put the popcorn kernels in it, and if you get it hot enough, obviously and it'll fill the whole entire inside of the amplifier with cooking oil and popcorn. I think that would be great.
That would probably work. The only person I ever heard seriously considering building their amplifier in a bath of oil was Toby, KD2AV, way back in the day when we had, those Toshiba 2879 totally unfiltered Class C amplifiers, and he was gonna build one in an oil bath. I don't think he ever did it, but I think maybe now is the time to try it, except not with 2879s, with like real tubes and popcorn, as you said. Whoever's like the first person to do it, what can I offer you? Really nothing. I'll give you a sub. I'll gift you a sub, like a 1-year sub to my channel.
Yeah, but how many transmissions till you have to change the oil?
You know how nasty that would be?
Was that Connor in there?
Nah, it's still me, R.I.K.
Oh, okay. You sounded like Connor for a minute. Anyway, well, people used to use things like 6L6s, or even going back further. They'd put them in an oil bath, and turn them upside down and stick them in an oil bath, I guess, so that you could beat them and get more out of them. That's been done for a long time. The worst possible, absolute nastiest, rottenest, worst thing you could do is vapor phase cooling, where you take distilled water, you put that around your tube anode, and since it's distilled, it doesn't conduct electricity at the beginning anyway. And what you do is there's no moving parts, really. You let it boil, and it collects on a condenser. And then you take the condensed stuff, and you pump it back with a little pump back to the cooler again. And lather, rinse, repeat. The only thing is that you've got the limits of metallurgy going on there. And but the really cool thing is, if you look in physics, how when you get to the boiling point, the tremendous amount of energy you can remove as water goes from liquid to vapor. It's like bazillions of calories can be removed from it. But the thing is, you've got to run it up at boiling. That's one problem. And there's a lot of problems. But they even made vapor phased, cooled transmitters. I think Harris had one, a VP50. There were more than one. And I think there was one or two amplifiers also that used that. Ugh.
Sounds like a pain.
Yes, high maintenance.
Yeah, nobody needs that. See, look, I'm not married or anything.
Yeah, but you're always eating pizza, man. I mean, you know, you got to do a balance sheet. And you look at all the pluses and minuses, and if it worked for you, that's fine. You really like pizza, so that's good.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. But I have kind of thought about it, and yeah, that's a benefit of being married. If you have a wife who cooks and is good at cooking and wants to cook. But I don't think that's every woman anymore, you know?
Oh man, I know we're going to get a comment from one of our listeners out there. So you're saying women are expected to cook?
No, I'm saying that these days they're really not. And it's honestly kind of like a little bit harder to find one who wants to cook and likes it. Not to say that they're not out there. I think they're still the majority, but there's a good chance, like, if you're out there, you know, looking, there's a pretty good chance you'll find one who's like, you know, no, I want to go out to restaurants every night. And I think they're mostly my age. And that's a real thing. W2BTK.
W2VW. And I could say the rule about the used car business.
What's that?
But I won't. I can't bring myself to use that saying right now. But maybe some other time.
Oh, come on, Dave. It's just me, you, and Bruce, and the internet.
I happen to know that it's not just me, you, and Bruce.
Well, okay, you got me there.
Help me out here, Bruce.
Well, all right. I always remember the cartoon Futurama, where Fry had a bag of backwards chow. That's what he would eat. It was like a 20-pound bag like dog food. I've been for them.
Oops. You know what it is about pizza? I almost died from pizza when I was a very small child. I choked on some pizza. And I turned blue, and my dad gave me the Heimlich, and it went flying across the room. And from then on, I was like, wow. You know, I've got a tremendous respect for pizza. It almost took me out.
I had to use infant CPR once.
Well, Dave, since I have no filter and everyone already knows that, I'll say what you didn't want to say. Used cars and women. There's an ass for every seat.
I didn't say that, Billy did.
That's correct. I said it.
Oh, I think we lost Tommy. He's on a mission. Did you hear Bruce's comment?
Yeah, I did. The Futuramas, there's really funny stuff in that show, man. It's the same people as The Simpsons, I think. It's good stuff.
You ever listen to Harry Shearer's show?
No.
It's called Les Show, like Les Show, like Francais. It's all online, and BCQ has it. He's a very talented writer. He does like the voices on The Simpsons, so it's kind of funny listening to him. Been around the block. It's something if you're really bored you might want to check out. I mean, you like W6AM. that you can't find a more content-filled video of a older gentleman explaining his ham station, though. The more I think about that, man, if any ham could be 5% of that, they're doing something.
I gotta check it out. There's so many things that I haven't seen that people talk about. That's funny. Like, I don't have TV here, like network TV. I just don't. I don't have any TV antennas up. I like your antenna. I should probably put one up like that, but I haven't. I have the internet, so if it's not on the internet, I really don't see it.
Yeah, man. Well, Harry Shearer's all over the internet, so that's easy. But that TV antenna, let me tell you something. I tried one of those out at the Rutgers radar site because we wanted something. They wanted something that they could use, and I said, you really need to make something good enough for a confidence monitor, and pipe the D-mod back to the studio, and you can look at bit error rate and all that. They didn't want to do that, but I built it so that it could be that good, and I found out that a good way to get rid of airplane stuff was to point the antenna a little bit off axis from what you're looking at, and man, that really steadied the signal. I mean, if you look at signal strength on TV 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away from the transmitter, the variation is ridiculous. Even if it's line of sight, I mean, you can get line of sight up to about 40 miles. over flat terrain at least, and, you know, way further like where you are, if you've got a hole in that direction, that's a whole different thing. But that particular model of antenna, that thing made a believer out of me. It's like those long Yagis and all that, the wind load, and you get a big fat bird, bends the thing, especially up on my tower here with these birds of prey. You know, they try it out, you know, and while they're trying it out, they're going to bend it. So this little thing here, it works. I am amazed at how well it works. I've got it split 3 ways and no preamp, and 150 feet of cable on it, and it just gets everything.
I'll leave a space for Bruce in case he wants to jump in. That makes a lot of sense. I guess if I was going to get something, I'd try something like that. That really makes sense. See, that there's 2 TV antennas here. There's one in the attic that's in pretty good shape, and yeah, it's one of those like gazillion element, whatever, antennas. And then there was one that was up on the little TV tower when I got here, that was all bent up and crapified, and I took it down, and I was thinking about putting the other one up, but yeah, I might get better directionality and a little more gain or whatever pulling stuff in with that other antenna, but maybe for a day until the wind starts blowing or the birds get it or whatever. Over, you know, long term, you'd probably get better performance with what you have. And I did not know about that off-axis trick. So if I do that, yeah, I don't know. It's just another thing. Who knows if I'll ever actually do it? But I've looked on rabbit ears, and I'd be able to watch TV from all over the place here, or so they say. So it's probably worth it. I don't know. I haven't got bored with my internet yet, so if that ever happens, I'll probably give it a try. Or just give it a try for scientific purposes, who knows. I can't remember when I ID'd. I'm purposely not paying attention and just doing it a lot. W2BTK.
You're 2 very weak.
And 3 RIK. Well, I have a 6-meter antenna. It's a simple square loop. I just hook the TV into that every once in a while. Works pretty good. Then again, I live on top of a hill, so I can't really miss. A little 3-foot piece of wire will do the trick on a lot of stations.
What do you get, PVI from Philly?
Yeah, I get them. Just stuff all over. Lehigh Valley, a little bit of stuff up in Allentown. Nothing from New York, but mainly Philly stuff.
Do you get RF channel 4 from Waterford Works, New Jersey? That's 10 kilowatt ERP. I'm trying to think of their call sign, but I can't.
I think I might. The 6-meter loop does well with the lower frequency stuff, of course. So like all the stuff that, you know, where channel 3 used to being up, yeah, there's like the, did they broadcast the ME network, the old TV shows?
What was that question again?
Is that the station that broadcasts the older TV shows? I think they call it a ME network, Echo.
Oh yeah, Me TV. That's Me TV is a sub-channel of a lot of other networks. I forget who exactly carries that, but the trend in TV broadcasting was to fill up your space, fill up your bits, and use as many sub-channels as you could until it made your main channel look like crap. That was an industry thing. CBS was about the last holdout. They had a really nice looking picture until they did that. So yeah, I think MeTV. Well, what I'm thinking of is RF channel 4, which has they might even have 5 or 6 sub-channels now, and you may or may not know, but all the low channels are still in use. People think that DTV, digital television, is just on UHF. It's not. Low channel 2, there's a number of channel 2s on the air. RF channel 2s, which of course has nothing to do with the brand, which channel, like RF channel 4 is really for very few places anymore. Like out of New York, channel 4 television, WNBC, is really on RF 35, blah, 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 blah. But all those channels are in use up to 36. All old channels from the frequencies from way back when are still being used. So if you're using your low band antenna or your 6-meter squalo or whatever you have there, you'll pick up channel 2s, 3s, RF3. There's an RF3 in Manhattan. I think they're still in Manhattan on 4 Times Square. There's definitely RF4 or 2, and a large one. There's a 5. There's a 6, of course, in Philly. 7 in New York City, RF7. I forget where 8 is. So they're all occupied.
Yeah, I just took a look at what's saved in the memories here on the TV. My monitor is a TV. So when I'm not on the computer or whatever, I just switch it over to the TV just for something to watch. But yeah, there's RF2-3 through RF2-8. Looks like I start getting stuff at RF3-2, which is some network for support. Then 3-3 DABC. Then it just jumps to 6-1 W2VW, which is Philly stuff. But yeah, it's all there. I know people, they just stick a paper clip in their in the socket there in the back, for the RF input, and they get a few things.
I like the Dave, your antenna at your old job with the coax shoved into the back of the TV and clip leaded onto, well, the antenna that you were using. I don't know if you want to tell Bruce about that, but excuse me, that was very cool.
Oh yeah, I did that more than once. I did that back in 2009. We cleared off of RF channel 47 in the Empire State Building. WNJU used to transmit there. They had a license for 4.5 megawatts, and we took that transmitter dark and just left a digital transmitter going, which was on RF 36 after the analog shutdown in 2009, and had that antenna was still available. And what was it, WLNY out in Long Island got RF channel 47 as their digital channel, and that was a real flamethrower. I know the guy who designed some of it, and I used to be able to use what was left of my feed line, after we took the transmitter out, and just jacked it into the back of a TV. So then we revamped our transmit antenna so that it would work on RF 36, and went on the air there up until 2018, and took that one dark, and then that was never to be reused again because we were pulling out of that whole entire facility and building for the new One World Trade Center. So I had this feed line and antenna on the Empire State Building, actually 2 antennas, a main and a fill, because they were on the side of the mooring mast. So you can't get an omni pattern out of just one stick there. You need 2. You need one that had 10% and one that had 90% of the RF. So I jacked that into the back of just a regular TV set, and that was my receive antenna the top of the Empire State Building up, like 1,200 feet. Something like that. I wonder how high that was. I got to think about that. Wasn't quite that high. A little bit less, but not much.
There you go. That must have been good. Imagine when the bands come over and conducting. That would be cool.
Yeah, and he was right in the soup that time.
He said the magic word, inducted.
Yeah, the band is starting to get pissed off.
Yeah, and I'm good for, I haven't looked at the weather map, but I'm looking at the sky, and I'm seeing this really calm here. I'm thinking I'm good for about 10 more minutes.
Yeah, it's about the same. It's just gray here. I don't see any black, but I'm not really looking to the northeast. I'm looking out to the west.
Well, we got sunshine here in the Boston area.
Yeah, there's also somebody else in there besides Bruce, but I can't make him out here just yet.
And that was plenty of time for them to key up and introduce themselves, but dead air is not cool, so I don't know what to say.
And whoever that was, you want to try it again? It's just been you're in a fade. I don't know.
Yeah, K1QAR in the shop here. Name's Ted. We're outside of Boston where the sun is shining at the moment.
Did you say outside of Boston?
Yeah, outside of Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, it's Ted.
Hey, give the man a cigar.
Yeah, hi, Ted. Yeah, it's daytime Ted.
Yep, just back from repairing a junction box down in New Bedford. Fun on the highway.
Yeah, I thought you were on like Costa Rica or something.
No, I went to Florida. Took care of that. And we got tenants moving in all over the place, and the electrical system crapped out on day 3 down in New Bedford, so I had to go down there and tighten the screws in behind the panel.
Junction box, huh? It was like quasi box, whatever. Those things are a pain.
Well, they're just different. They're designed for electricians, not radio men. You get there with the screwdriver. Doesn't matter if it's Phillips or regular, and you can undo everything. And you got to have an insulated handle, because I'm not about to pull the main while I tighten the screws.
A big old quasi box that they delivered to this job about a week early. So we had it sitting there for a while, and then we came in one morning and the thing was in 2 pieces. Somebody broke it, and that really pissed off the boss, because I think those are really expensive, aren't they?
You buy this stuff surplus, it's cheap, but most people get them from the jobber shop, and they mark them up triple like ladies' bathing suits.
All I know is that when I see a quasi box come off the truck or whatever, I know I'm going to be on my hands and knees in the dirt for a little while that day.
Well, I had my second meal off of porcelain plates indoors today. Rhode Island has opened up the restaurant business.
Did you have your picket sign?
My picket sign?
Picket. Picket. You got to march.
No, you got to wear a mask going in the door, and then as soon as you sit down to your cup of coffee, you take the mask off, and It's almost normal.
Yeah, well, there's something to be said for almost normal in 2020.
Yeah, well, at least, and I mean, these riots, protests, and everything that happened isn't good, but one good thing that's come out of it is, well, it ended the coronavirus overnight. Oh, wow, look at that. Everyone take down your coronavirus decorations, you know, because we're in riot season now.
Yep, it's a Black Lives Matter kind of a season. Gotta change out the signs.
Hey, TTV Gaming Mascot, welcome to the channel. Thanks for the follow, buddy.
Weather map says precip is going to flare up here in like another 45 minutes. But I'm looking at the wind, and I see my 100-year oak tree out there. It's not really mine. It starts on a neighbor's yard. And it's moving. You know what I mean?
Nah, not much air around here.
So I'm thinking it's time to end this here QSO from my end, and you guys can carry on. So Ted, good to hear you on here. And Saventi Trace, good DXOM, Billy, always fun. Bruce, thanks for chiming in. Anybody else out there listening? This is W2 very weak. And we'll go hit the button. Lower this here retractable a couple thousand pounds of steel. It's right next to my house, where it's safer. That's safer. So, good afternoon. W2 very weak. I'll be listening.
All right, Dave. Nice QSO this afternoon. Very nice. I will, I caught the whole thing. It's live on Twitch, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm going to try to give it a good description, and all the things we talked about. I'll put them in there because we did talk about some real good things. So, very enjoyable. 7-3 from W2BTK.
M3 RIK.
So long, gentlemen. It was nice of you to keep the frequency guarded while I was away.
Peace, love, and happiness.
Hey, and don't get a knee on any of these other little, space cadets that want to key up.
That was 100% selective fade. It sounded worse than sideband.
Yeah, that happens to the best of us.
Yeah, well, someday it might happen to you.
Yeah, for me, it's a kilowatt of carrier and 500 watts of modulation to avoid that pitfall.
Yeah, something like that. Speaking of that kind of stuff, I actually got the bias supply back on my full 400 rig and cranked the voltage up, and nothing shut down. It didn't blow up. It didn't trip the breaker, and by golly, I think I fixed something. Don't ask me what I did. Took a few parts out, changed 2 caps, and that was it.
That's sort of what I did to that breaker box. You just get in there and massage it with a screwdriver, and nobody is complaining all of a sudden.
Man, my bias supply on my 810 rig was acting up. I just unhooked it. So let's hope and pray that I never lose drive.
You know, I got drive, and I got bias came back. The only thing I did was change both caps on the bias supply board itself. That, I think those were just dried up and crusty, not doing much of anything. Took the relay out, tested it, it appeared good, put it back in, and voila. Now I got to get some screen voltage on the tube, and I'll be all set to go.
Screen voltage. Blech. Gotta get some triodes, man. Just kidding. W2BTK.
A surprise. Oh, well, it's only 3:30. That means it's the middle of the day in winter. Should say the middle of the day in the light cycle of winter.
Yeah, the signals are kind of low. The static crashes are starting to pick up now, kind of right on cue. I know Dave was looking at the weather radar, and he said about 3:30 it's going to get kind of crappy, and well, it is. But I've been in QSO for, let's see, 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 48 seconds, so I might wander away and do something else, and if it's not too hellacious in a couple hours, I'll come back out here, but we'll see about that. Anyway, guys, carry on. This is W2BTK, and I'm going to fade off into the sunset and get a couple things done around the house. So have fun, and we'll see ya.
Well, you have fun too. What is this front coming I don't know about? I heard someone worried about wind gusts. W1LO, by the way.
Yeah, that was Dave. He's got to lower his tower.
Well, coming I'm not aware of it. Something like I said, some front coming through. Right now it's blue sky and sunshine. Oh, happy days. It's a good day for now.
All right, yep. Lightning crashes are getting a little crazy, so like I said, I'm going to go do some stuff around the house. Anybody watching, thank you for being here. I appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoy the content. We'll be doing this again. So catch me next time if you haven't followed or subscribed if you're watching on YouTube. That would be pretty cool. You'll be able to find me easier. You'll know when I go live or upload a video in case you want to check it out. So with that, I'm going to say 7-3 everybody. Peace out, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye now.